Nazanin, could I ask you? So your publications, Kayhan London and Kayhan Life, were born in exile or reborn in exile. I wondered if you could give us a little perspective on the importance of exiled journalism. One of the things, of course, that's striking about this type of transnational repression is that it also makes sense, is that particularly targeted journalist platforms that are publishing or broadcasting in Persian, because of course, as I started by saying, the aim is to stop citizens in Iran from knowing what's happening. So could you speak a little bit about the vital importance of exiled journalism, given that independent reporting in Iran itself is so difficult, and also about your experience over many years now, decades even, in London as a journalist reporting from exile?
Thank you, Fiona. As you mentioned, we were Kayhan London, although it was established in 1984 in London. Our history goes back to Iran in 1941. And by 1979, we were the largest circulated publication in the Middle East, with different publications for women, sports, youth. We even had our own College of Journalism. So when the revolution happened, many of our journalists were imprisoned. Actually, one of them was hanged and executed. And the control, the assets were expropriated, and the control was transferred to the Supreme Leader's office, who until now, there is a Kayhan still printing in Iran, and the editors are appointed by the Supreme Leader. The publisher, the original publisher, and some of the editors and other writers, they fled the country, and it took them a while, until 1984, to set up Kayhan London. The preamble of the Constitution of the Islamic Republic says that mass media must serve the diffusion of Islamic culture in pursuit of the Islamic Revolution. And in particular, Article 4 of the Constitution says that Islamic criteria applies absolutely and generally to all civil, penal, financial, economic, administrative, cultural, military, political laws and regulations. So you can imagine what tight parameters media in Iran are operating under. Indeed, the Minister of Culture and Information and Communication has a monopoly of being not only the main regulatory body, but also allowing who to become to be able to have media, access to media, and in particular the law, the press law, the press laws in Iran. In one clause, it goes down to 19 lines of who doesn't have access to media. And of course, one of the red lines of the press laws are publishing articles against the Constitution and its principles, promoting subjects which might damage the foundation of the Islamic Republic, offending the leader of the revolution, and these are in quotes, I'm quoting from the press laws, leader of the revolution, and offending the recognized religious authorities, and encouraging people, groups to become implicated in actions against the Islamic Republic, its reputation, its interests, not only domestically, but also abroad. And as well, one of the other red lines was propagating luxury and extravagance. So you can imagine that the important role that media outside Iran play, and this has been these, what I'm going to state, these objectives have been our objectives since 1984, when we restarted publication, which was number one, document events. The Islamic Republic is the has the best ability and know-how how to change history, how to create a new narratology. They wanted from the their inception to create a new identity of what an Iranian identity is. And this was one of our missions, to ensure that we maintain that identity that Iranians have, whether it is cultural, historical. And so Another of our objectives has always been to adhere to truth and accuracy as our core values, and to disseminate news regarding political and economic situation in Iran, to analyze the impact and the consequences of the present regime's policy, and raise awareness of people's rights and promoting the cause of pluralism and democracy, and also highlighting the strength and the potential of Iranian citizens to bring about change for democracy, progress, modernity, and prosperity. And of course, as you can imagine, these all fall outside the red lines of the Islamic Republic. And since 1984, we have been under attack in various formats, whether it has been physical, our offices. This is late in the 80s, or through phishing, as you said, hacking, and as technology has advanced, so the Islamic Republic has had, and its agents have improved their techniques to be able to close us down, whether it has been through, as I mentioned, attacks, but also use legal means, or also even through business-wise, trying to run us out of business. But as you mentioned, the resilience of the Iranian spirit that you pointed out is really evident in all the journalists who have had to flee Iran since the revolution, and specifically the numerous journalists, this new generation that we see in Kayhan, in our publications, but also Iran International, BBC News, Voice of America. These are new, younger generation of journalists, and who are trying to just carry on with their work.
Something that we see if we look historically at this kind of transnational repression of journalists coming from Iran is that it's almost cyclical. It comes in waves, and the increase always follows a time of disturbance inside Iran. So at a time when international attention is on Iran, the perceived threat of journalism, it rises. So the government gets more and more nervous about the extent of coverage. So we've definitely seen that since the death of Mahsa Amini and the protests which followed. There has absolutely been a spike in repression of journalists since then. It's not the first time. It happened again after 2017 is a moment when again there was a rise, and every time there's some sort of internal turmoil and a lot of international attention directed, a lot more journalism happening, then there tends to be a spike. So it's not unique to this, but I'd say that the sort of evolution since the last time of online tactics as well has made it more complex and more far-reaching this time. Nazanin, Adam, I don't know if you want to add anything. Nazanin, perhaps on the targeting of women?
Yes, I think, when you look at the Islamic Revolution, women were the first victims, and they lost the most as far as rights. They're looked upon as weaklings and also as soft targets. And everything that has, it's a misogynist way of approach towards women. That's one point. The second point is that there are many women journalists. Women, we have had to fight for our existence and our rights. And certainly this really upsets, on the leaders of the revolution and all those in control. And obviously their first attack is towards women sexually. And in all those, it really follows the nature of their worldview and where the woman's place is. Let's not forget, the first woman who was executed in Iran after the revolution was the Minister of Education. Her mother was one of the first feminists in Iran, and she followed in her mother's footsteps. And once she was arrested, one of the charges against her was prostitution, for propagating prostitution through education. So this is all a pattern that has been, about the nature of the system in Iran, ruling Iran at the moment.
I'm not a journalist anymore, so I'm from Iranian background. Hi, Nazan and John. Hi, Adam. I was wondering, in any of your efforts, Adam and Nazanin, and maybe you guys as well, what are the policy recommendations? Because we know it's quite complicated right now in the UK to address these transnational operations in terms of limiting their presence of their agents in the UK, or closing down some of the centers that are at the heart of this kind of situation. Also, it goes to the charities that are linked to them. Is there any policy recommendations that you guys came up or working on with the UK government in that regard?
Agree. I think this whole awareness about what is happening is actually protecting us as well, whereas before it was done with impunity. Now they can't. The spotlight is on them. And the more aware, not only the British media is, but also politicians, that gives us a sense of more security. Whereas before things would happen and no one would know, or no one would want to know. Now it's different.